Three, two, one. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Brewmaster's Draft, a show where we talk a little bit about Dota and a little bit about beer. I will be your host, Flubb, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Kimbrell. Kimbrell, how you doing today?
I am doing peachy. um, I'm doing well. Dota-wise, I'm pretty good. I keep losing in solo. Like I have just, I'm gonna be that typical person. I'm not gonna blame myself. I have those idiots that like do stupid things. Like I had a Enigma that thought, once he got BKB, he could black hole and not have to worry about silence the result. And I was just like, no, it pierces through your BKB. Anyway, party wise, actually, I've gained my MMR back from when I lost it all with you and the stack that we had together. We lost a lot. I didn't realize how much we lost, but we lost quite a bit.
Yeah, we did.
But yeah, besides Dota wise and just just life wise, I am doing pretty good. A little stressed from work. But it feels pretty good to feel needed and appreciated at my own job. And that's something I haven't experienced before. I think I might have mentioned this before, but it feels pretty good. So
Yeah.
And what else? A little bummed after yesterday with Chester Bennington passing. Linkin Park was definitely one of those bands that I played on like repeat for like the longest time as a kid and a teenager. So.
That was actually my first CD I ever bought was Meteora as a kid.
Really?
Yeah. Second grade. that was my first CD. So.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I grew up on rock in general. I had Led Zeppelin and Soundgarden and Linkin Park and.
Did you hear about Soundgarden a few months ago, man?
Yeah, dude. Chris Cornell is one of my he is my biggest. Maybe biggest isn't. He's my favorite of all time. Like, just voice wise, dude, that dude could put me to sleep, and it's not even like that type of a voice where it should put you to sleep, but it's just amazing. And yeah, man, and those two, Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington, were really close. Mm-hmm. And yesterday was actually Chris Cornell's birthday, so I'm not going to make any assumptions, but to me, it would seem like it's not necessarily a coincidence if with Chester Bennington and him with the situation. So
yeah.
But anyway, off of that.
News.
Other than that and all that, but I'm doing well. So, and it is Friday, and it is a glorious day for a beer. So, but how about you? How are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. Dota's been a little rough on me lately, honestly. Looking back, I still am able to keep my 5K, but I've been kind of going through these rut type situations myself, and I'll earn it up and I'll go back, keep going up and down. So it's great to still have that level of play, but honestly, I gotta say, you were kind of talking about your own like solo play and how you could do it and how you can improve and blaming others and stuff like that. Did you watch at all this week? There was Jenkins put out a video on like top 5 reasons to top 5 reasons you lose MMR. Did you get to see that yet?
I have not.
It's actually crazy good. I really really enjoyed it, and it kind of spoke to me at points because it has some stuff that I've made points about in the past that I kind of forgot about. Just you get into a certain rhythm and you're like, well, that old advice doesn't work because I've met too many jerks or whatever. And it kind of like helped me and moved me more into the right track again. You got to have that pep talk every once in a while, and that was a good pep talk for me. So highly suggest looking at that. But besides that, I am playing D&D tomorrow, which I am super nerd. I got my D&D shirt on. It's awesome. And I love it. It's great. I'm the DM, and it's going to be like we only get to do this particular game like once every 2 months. And so it's like a big build up for me, and I get to see like some of these friends, most of these friends are friends that I've had since like grade school and high school and in college. Like lifelong friends, so it's gonna be awesome to hang out with them all tomorrow and kill goblins and evil witches and stuff like that. So it's always fun to do that.
Yeah.
Or more likely, I will be killing them because I'm the DM. So
Right.
always good to kill your friends, right? That's a
Yeah.
good thing to do with video games and the like. Yeah, so that's super exciting. I'm super happy about that. And honestly, one of the biggest pick-me-ups this week. I don't know if I didn't tell you about this, but Nameless, our friend Nameless, he's actually one of our Patreon subscribers. He actually gave me 100 battle points levels. He got 250 stacks and gave me 100 points.
God knows he doesn't need them. So I mean,
it's true. It's true. He does have a lot of points, and he always talks about, I got everything. I'm good now. But super appreciative of that, and he got me just to the point of getting the companion cube. And Portal is like one of my favorite games ever. Like, this is something, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but I have this for so long. I've had it since Portal 1. A friend of mine crocheted this for me and put it around like a foam box. Wow. And it's like my thing that I just, I twirl around and I have fun with. And I never have done it on camera because, like, I just don't want to have something, like, in your face all the time. But it's a special occasion. I got the Arcana for it, so I might as well bring it out and show it off. So. Yeah.
I've played IO a handful of times, and I actually think I have a above 50% win rate with him. But just, I don't know, not one of my heroes. I don't know what it is, but just not one of mine.
Yeah. I love that hero. I don't get to play him very often because you play him in pubs and you lose. Like, there's not enough coordination in pubs to be able to play him.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard to get that going, but man, when I'm on a team, I'm looking to play him all the time. He's so much fun. But yeah, so we kind of talked about that. We've talked about what's Joe Schmo has just said the cube is what he tosses around when he dies, and in Dota, it is quite true. And he says, when I don't want to flame my friends, I don't generally flame people, but I do like tossing this around. It's a lot of fun, Anyway, the beers that we're drinking, what's most important about the day? I mean, the thing that's keeping us calm. Kimbrell, what are you drinking on, bud?
It is a Friday, and God knows I need this. I am drinking. It's a beer that my wife has gotten before when we were at a restaurant, and it sounded pretty interesting. And it's by Abita, and it's. I've had an Abita beer on here before, but this one's called Purple Haze. It's a raspberry lager. So, yeah, and the cover of it's like some, I don't know if he's supposed to be a skeleton or if he has just makeup on with it. I think he just has makeup on with it, like a hat. But anyway, it's
that looks kind of oh man, what's that movie? Beetlejuice. Kind of looks Beetlejuice-esque.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah, but that's what I got today, and I have another one, but I'll save it for next. Actually, no, I'm gonna say it now because it's anyway. It's a Shiner. It's a Shiner beer, so that's why I'm gonna say it now because it's a summer seasonal that I haven't tried before. It's strawberry blonde.
Nice.
So I've got 2 different flavors going on. I guess I don't typically drink a whole lot of flavored type beer, but I knew my wife would like both of them, and I want to play some Dota tonight, so I have to bribe her with something.
Great move. Bribery always gets you where you're going. No, the beer I'm drinking today is actually, it's kind of a funny story behind it. I've always wanted to drink this beer. It's around here all the time. It's made by Belms in Michigan. It's called Oberon, and it's just a big sun on the cover. It's a American wheat. And I've always wanted to drink this because, I don't know, have you ever played the game Warframe before? I don't know if you have. It's kind of a random one.
I think so.
Okay.
I believe I have.
Okay, well, it's like this robot ninja game, basically, and you run around with your friends, and you're, like, flipping and diving through guys, and it's kind of like the super...
Yeah, I played it.
Okay. Super technical... oh, man, what's that? There's... Samurai Warriors, I want to say. There's like that old game for PlayStation that everyone always played that was like millions of guys, and you just run through and kill people, and you're just like, it's not even really a challenge to do anything. It's just fun to play as a robot ninja. But my character's class was an Oberon, and I've always, like, I played like pretty much exclusively that. So I've always wanted to try this because I heard about it when I was playing Warframe all the time. So I finally found it. I found it in the stores, and I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna grab that, give it a try. So far, so good. So far, so good. Yeah. Is there any beer that you've ever had where you're like, oh man, that's like in the back of your mind that you just can't, that you've never actually tried? Yeah, probably not, because you can be like, I see that beer, I want that beer, but
no, I don't think so, really.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm always curious because like I've only heard about it, I never saw it, so gives you that little bit of perspective.
I mean, there's those times I'm at like a restaurant and I'm like, which beer do I want off their draft? And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll have this one, but those 4 over there look really good. I'll get them next time. But specifically, no, I don't think there's ever been one.
Yeah, that's true. That happens almost all the time. You always go to Old Classic whenever I'm in an eating mood, especially. I don't want a beer that just like tastes bad with my food. Yeah. So, yeah, totally. All right, man. Ready for the draft. I am so excited. I haven't been able to play a draft game all week this week, and I'm excited. I want to try out my new stuff, as always. So we're getting into a room here. I'm going to switch it over to Versus. Oh, shoot. It was already in Versus. My bad.
Oh, well. That's okay. I just now noticed that as well. I popped over to send a XD in chat, and I saw that. I was like, oh, okay.
I was so excited about drinking Oberon. I just messed up. But I'm going to pick Radiant because, you know me, guys. I love my Radiant. And I have like a 9% better chance to win on Radiant than I do on Dire, so got to keep it.
Wait, does it have you as Radiant?
Because
it totally has me as Radiant.
Oh, dang it. It gave you Radiant. I voted for Radiant as well. So.
Okay. Huh. That's weird. I clicked on Radiant, so that's all I know. Anyway. Okay. All right. So this has been my first ban, I think, for 3 weeks now. I'm just going to go with Earthshaker. He screws up my lineup quite a bit, actually, by separating the fight. And he's, again, just a good hero right now. Can play a lot of positions. So.
Okay. That's interesting. I am going to ban out Night Stalker. I know it's a classic ban for Flubb, but that hero is crazy good right now, and I just don't want to deal with him.
Okay. My next ban is going to be Ursa. I don't like him in my lineup currently, and also I've played against him too many times in the last week, and it's just there's some games where you can cut him out, and there's some games where you can't. And those games where you can't, those are rough games. He's just super annoying. And if you're not with a coordinated team, and you're like in a pub solo, beating him is nearly impossible because I feel like beating an Ursa who's able to snowball early takes a bit of coordination. And you don't have that sometimes in solo.
That's true. I'm curious on what you're picking here, though, because you don't like Ursa. So that means that I think I'm going to ban Bristleback, because Bristleback is a guy who doesn't like Ursa, and is very strong in the meta right now. I feel like Kimbrell is looking for that Bristleback pick.
Okay. So Ursa may not have been like really bad to go up against with the team that I have, but I just really don't like him. Thinking about it with my team playing against him with the heroes that I'm picking, no thanks. Also, I just picked Venge. That's a hero I actually don't think I've picked at all in any of our draft. Well, no, back when she was the flavor of the month when she was a carry, of course. But in the last month, I don't think I picked her. She's kind of disappeared, but I have an idea of what I want to do with her, and so I went ahead and picked her up.
So I'm gonna go with I gotta do what's right by me, and I gotta pick the companion cube. I gotta pick the IO. I've been talking about it. I gotta keep it real. So IO's gotta be the pick. Now I have a special draft in mind. Let's see if Kimbrell can figure it out. But the next pick I'm gonna go is a little interesting. It's classic combination. It's what won TI3. I'm gonna go with
Dude,
CK.
my cursor was hovering over that, like ready, which I know I'm not banning, but I was like, just please don't. Oh, it's so annoying. Okay. Okay, I think
You banned Earthshaker, man.
Yeah, I know.
I got to.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Puck.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like Puck can clear out those early CK illusions pretty well, especially if he goes Veil. And it's just a hero that I have an actual like lineup that I want, and he was on that lineup. He wasn't second pick though, or she wasn't second pick though. So I did change it up a little bit from what I originally wanted to do. But yeah, I think I like Puck here. Also, being able to dodge that stun is pretty good.
It is.
CK Sun's a pain in the butt, especially if he gets crazy RNG and hits you with like nothing but 3 or 4 second stuns. I hate that.
Okay. I ban out the Medusa because, one, she's good at kind of surviving and existing, and I don't know if anyone knew this, but if you use Aghanim Scepter, it actually cancels out the whole hero of CK.
Yeah.
Her Aghanim Scepter can turn you into stone with her snake, and any illusions turned to stone immediately disappear. So, very big problem.
Okay. I'm assuming CK is your carry, so I don't know if I want to ban the mid that I already had listed, or if I want to ban a hero that will allow your CK some space. That would be mid. Okay, I'm gonna ban out Silencer. One, playing against Silencer as a Puck, even if it's just a 5-position Silencer, it still sucks, especially early. 2, I feel like Silence is pretty good on your team, even with just IO with CK. You already have enough lockdown with CK on one hero. You could just lock down one hero, Silence, and we have no save with Avenge or anything like that. So,
okay, I'm going to ban Drow because looking at Kimbrell's lineup, Puck is incredibly good with Drow, and also the Venge Drow aura is crazy good. So it's a very strong possibility. So let's just get that right out of there.
okay, I'm gonna ban OD next. I don't like it versus the lineup that I originally had. Now that lineup might change, but still, I still don't like it regardless. And also, it's just another save. So if somebody gets swapped and OD's in range, he can just save them with his imprisonment and then let the fight continue.
It's true. It's true. I think I'm going to go for my original idea. I'm going to pick a Darkseer. I don't want to reveal too much about the pick, but it is a Darkseer. Stumped you.
Hmm. You have two tanky heroes with Darkseer and DK. Um. Okay, I have an idea of what I want to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick my other support, and it's gonna be Ogre. I feel like Ogre's pretty tanky. If Darkseer is in the off lane, Ogre's tanky enough to kind of deal with it. He also has spells to kind of help deal with the creep that has Ion Shell on it, and he can just punish out the Darkseer anytime he moves up in the lane. I feel like Ogre Venge would just kind of get that dude out of the lane, and he, like I said, he could put up Ion Shells on creeps, but he's not going to be able to get much experience by being up close. I don't think, not with those two heroes in lane.
It's true. It's true. Hmm. This is gonna be a hard one. Got to think about this for a little bit. Okay. I think I got this.
9 seconds, Flubb.
9 seconds indeed, my friend. I'm gonna pick Warlock.
It's a pretty good pick. Combos well with the Darkseer, and it can stun out that puck just enough to where you could get one of those pretty big lockdown stuns from CK on him and just blow him up. So I feel like that's a pretty Warlock's pretty good versus my team right now. At least decent. Okay. So Timber wasn't originally in my lineup, but I like him versus the CK and the Darkseer. I feel like he will do pretty well versus either one of them in lane and then outside of lane. And if you can pressure that CK long enough and enough in general, he's not going to be able to get much farm. And catching up as a CK is pretty damn hard.
It's true.
Did you ban that or did it random it?
It totally randomed it because I was listening to what you were saying and I totally forgot. But anyway, it's actually a really good ban.
It is. DK was actually on my damn list. I'm not joking. I didn't know if I still wanted him after the CK and all that. I was thinking about putting Puck mid, but I was like, I can still pick DK, and then it just random bans him. Of course. All right. Anyway,
Stroke of genius. The game is for me, Kimbrell.
dude,
Got
but
it.
I random it randoms me like it picks me on Meepo versus everything that counters him, and it just I hate. Anyway, all right. So you need a mid, unless you do CKIO mid, but I'm gonna get rid of. I don't know who I'm gonna get rid of. Just gonna get rid of Storm Spirit. Okay. Man, what do I want to do? I picked the Ember Spirit. It's not what I wanted initially, but I think he does pretty well because well, never mind.
Hmm. All right.
I like the Kunka pick actually versus the Ember Spirit. Um, the other heroes, it's whatever. It's a Kunka pick. Okay.
Okay.
Game is rigged.
I screwed up at the end, but I'll tell you what I was scrambling to think here at the end. I think that we still have a good matchup, and I think that there's a lot to be had here. But do you want to go through the picks this week, or you want me to?
I can go through them. It's fine.
Okay.
So on my team, I am on the Radiant, and I have my Vengeful, Ogre, and Ember Spirit bottom in the safe lane. I have my Puck mid and a Timbersaw off lane. Flubb has Io, CK, Dark Seer, Warlock, and Kunka. And he has Kunka, Io, and CK top, Dark Seer bot in the off lane, and then Warlock freaking mid.
What's so great about this is that there's two people in our chat right now that called it, that Warlock was gonna be mid. Um, feel fantastic. Feel pretty fantastic. Do you want to talk about your lanes and why you think they match up pretty well, or do you want to try to want me to go first? Kind of explain what my thought process is, or
Um, I mean, it doesn't matter. I can honestly, my lane. I just feel like my lanes are pretty straightforward. To be honest, they're a little boring. It's not the lineup I initially wanted, but that's fine. Um, the only thing that really throws me off is the Warlock mid. I feel like Puck does, and like Fafnir actually mentioned that Puck doesn't fare very well versus that, especially with that awful spell that is Shadow Word. Dude. Um, So anyway, yeah, Vengeful and Ogre, I feel like would punish out the Dark Seer decently well. Uh, they can just kind of set behind the creep wave and keep him out of lane. Now, Iron Shell might be a little hard to deal with, but I have a tanky Ogre to deal with it. I have Ember Spirit, Flame Guard to deal with it. So I feel like Iron Shell isn't that big of a deal. So I feel like that lane in general is probably one. Timbersaw off lane versus those heroes. Bit of a problem because if he gets X'd and then say he gets stunned and then X'd, and that's a decent amount of lockdown until a Timbersaw can get like a Yule's. So we're talking probably sapping some XPs, taking some jungle camps, just getting the runes when you can, and getting the farm when you can. Hopefully they don't know how to pull correctly, and the creep wave is at the river at least or something. And then the mid matchup, I don't. It's just such a pain in the ass. That Shadow Word spell is just, and I love it. I say it's a pain in the ass, but I love it as a support, as a person playing Warlock. It's the best, especially versus like a weak off lane or something like that, and you're playing in safe lane. But yeah, Warlock mid, that'd definitely be a pain in the butt. So
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process. Actually, so what I should have picked at the end was Monkey King. That was should have been the pick. Honestly, what I was preparing up onto your third pick, I was looking through your draft, and my idea for this draft is actually to pick up Alchemist and have Alchemist fit. And it actually worked really well until you picked up the freaking Timbersaw. And once you picked up Timbersaw, I probably should have banned it out second phase, and I thought about it. I just was like, well, if Drow gets picked up and he picks up Jakiro, Drow, Venge, I don't think I can stop that push. Like, there's no way I can stop that push. So that's why I wanted to do that. Monkey King matches up incredibly well mid, and then I could have actually had the well, not mid. I'm sorry. Monkey King matches incredibly well up bottom, and I could have gone with more of an aggressive tri lane type situation. A lot of people think that you can still like harass out a monkey at level 1 because Timbersaw is generally able to do that. He's able to push people out of lane and do quite a bit of damage. But even at level 3, his armor is high, but it's not Monkey King damage high. The amount of monkey damage Monkey King can deal out is crazy, crazy hard, and he has to go somewhat tanky to kind of counteract it. So you can actually get a lot of health back from it, whereas normally he would be able to just burst you. So it's kind of like a play against time type thing. You win the lane and then hence win the game because you win the lane. And that's kind of my thought process on how the Monkey King goes as a core. And then I was going to have Warlock mid still in that situation because I thought that Puck was going to be there no matter what. I had an idea that maybe you would put Timbersaw safe lane, but then I was like, nah, he's not going to do that. He's going to have the Ember Spirit safe lane to go up against the Dark Seer. So that was kind of like a play in my head. When you're down to the 30-second mark, your head kind of runs through a bunch of different options. The Kunka was honestly a pickup because you have a lot of guys that like to jump around. And what's the best way to stop that is to keep them locked down into a position. Yeah, technically you can dodge out of X with a great Ember Spirit, but not everyone is 8K plus players. So really Kunka's a pretty decent pick versus that. And Puck has to awkwardly move around. Yes, she can still go into her little shell or go into her little immunity, and she has the availability of putting herself up into a Yule's. She's a very good hero to build that with, but it determines the build of the game, and I like that as picks. A lot of times whenever I'm picking supports, I want them to determine the items that my enemy's going and then play around it with my other heroes. So that was kind of the thought process I was going through at that point. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick up Kunka to do that. And my original thought was like, hey, let's put CK as a support and have CK roam around with an IO, just terrorizing your field. But you didn't really let me do that. You didn't let me do that at all. So I kind of had to mix it up a little bit. I wasn't able to get that form out like I wanted to, getting the Alchemist and then dropping out all the Ags to these heroes. I wanted to get Ags on a freaking roaming CK. I thought that'd been super cool. And also Ags on a free Ags for your Warlock. If he could like move towards different items, that'd be pretty nice. So, yeah. What So for those of you who are listening in, that's okay. What do you think that you would try to do in the safe lane? Would you try to just man up and try to get as much as you can? You think like both of our off lanes would be a wash for our safe lanes, kind of destroy our off lanes? Because yours does well versus my safe lane with levels, but I don't know if you could get those levels.
I mean, so I feel like the Ogre and Venge level 1 just sitting behind the creep wave, making sure Darkseer can't come into lane. Like, you're giving your Ember Spirit essentially a free level 2. He's able to then probably Flame Guard unless he, I mean, I'm sure he picked it up first, but by the time that Darkseer, how am I trying to word this? So Darkseer is going to want to do something, right? He can't just sit there stagnant, and he can continue to put Ion Shells, but he's not gaining any XP. So you kind of have to do something with that hero. So I feel like when you punish a hero out of lane, and this is just my mindset, and I might be wrong, but when you punish a hero out of lane and you allow your carry to get to level 2 or 3, and then your supports are like level 2, one of them can roam. You can have one or even two of them if you really need the lockdown mid, but both of those heroes can roam. So the blue for bot is essentially like, hey, we're going to be bot, and then once Ember Spirit's able to deal with the Darkseer and his Ion Shells with Flame Guard, then we're just going to go ahead and send one, maybe two of those heroes mid and destroy a Warlock, because honestly he's not going to be able to do much besides heal himself, and maybe an IO TP's in, and then a Kunka TP's in with a stun or something. Who knows? But I feel like Puck, Venge, Ogre does decently well versus a Warlock, IO, Kunka, like if they are all rotating mid or something like that. I feel like those do okay if everybody rotates. So that's just my general mindset. That's how I've always felt like in the safe lane. If you can get your safe lane a decent amount of farm and get the levels that they need, and you kind of sacrifice the levels on your supports, and then say they're, like I said, they're level 2 and they're able to roam, while Darkseer is like, hey, I'm only level 1 or 2 still, and compared to this Ember Spirit who's level 3 and almost 4, it's kind of, it works out in your favor. So, and then Warlock is just kind of easy to gank. So that's probably what I would do.
You would think, my friend. He's not as easy as you. He's deceptively hard to kill. I understand why you're saying that, because you have so much lockdown for him that he can just exist for a while. But you got to remember, I do have that IO. I have IO
Right.
and heal. Like, he's gonna live. Probably.
You have a solid amount of heal. That's I don't know. It would depend on positioning and everything when they go mid. Hopefully they would smoke mid and catch them, in the river or on the radiant high ground for some reason, if the equilibrium was off or something. But going to gank him while he's still on dire high ground and he's near his own tower, yeah, there's no way, because he has his own heal. He has an IO to rotate, then to tether, and then heal him as well. So killing him, yes, would be pretty hard at that point. So.
Oh yeah. It's actually one of my favorite things about this combo. It's like the top 4 are the kind of the team fight, right? You can kind of see that, where you have vacuum into all the stuff that a Warlock can do, and really Warlock, when you have him as a support, he doesn't have the levels to be able to really do anything than just lay down rock and lay down his fatal bonds, which is a lot to do in a team fight. But if you can do fatal bonds, rock, and do your slow in an area when they're already all together, it's a lot of damage out there.
Oh yeah.
Also, one of my favorite things to do, Ion Shell the big guy. You drop down that big infernal guy, he's already doing AoE damage around him, just make more come out, and they have to focus that big creep instead of focusing heroes. So it's an interesting combination, and it's something that I've always tooled around with in the past. So it's like Darkseer Warlock go together, and then Darkseer Warlock, and then IO and CK go together. And then the last pick kind of like goes whatever, like whatever needs to happen with the rest of the draft.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know you probably haven't seen it a lot. Have you ever seen me do Warlock mid at all? I used to do it before 7.0. Okay.
I think I have.
Okay. But those of you who don't know, the idea of this guy is very similar to a lot of mids that are being run nowadays, and it's about pulling out your magic damage and what's available to you. So Shadow Word level 2 is actually a ridiculous amount of damage, or a ridiculous amount of heal. And you just kind of poke the enemy mid, and you force him out of lane just by casting that on him. And Puck is decent at dealing with harassment that he can dodge. or that it can dodge, but it can't dodge a dot. So very very strong use versus someone who's weak in lane, as weak as in squishy. She still has a lot of right click damage, a lot of availability. You can also keep IO mid if he's having a lot of trouble with the rotation. Um, whereas I could kind of move stuff around a little bit better, and I can still get levels off of bottom. Thing is, that's kind of the one thing that I feel that's risky about my draft, is that Timbersaw is going up against two strength heroes then, and can really punish these melee strength heroes quite easily, without an IO at least. So that's kind of the thing that I saw about your draft, and I was like, man, that Timbersaw really screwed me. I think I would have the most trouble versus him because he takes care of CK, he takes care of Kunka as a support, just a lot of availability, man.
Yeah. Um, the main issue I see, if my team, and this sounds silly because the team that I have, if I can only team fight when I have like catching your CK out or something like that, or catching an IO out, just kind of catching heroes out instead of full-on 5-on-5 team fight, then I feel like I do decently well.
Mm-hmm.
And you let that Timber farm up enough to where he's able to do what he needs to do versus those heroes, and then you let your Ember farm up with the I don't know the I don't know if the Puck or the Ember would go Veil with this. I feel like probably better on the Ember, unless you wanted to go like the Battle Fury build, but I don't think a lot of people do that nowadays. I don't think it's all that great. I'm not sure, but anyway, what was my point? So basically what I'm saying is if I'm able to at least get a decent amount of farm on the three cores, then I feel like at a certain point, my team does a little bit better than yours. But overall, if you're able to get your level 6 on Warlock, and then your Dark Seer does get levels like he needs to, and your CK farms like he's supposed to, you guys honestly could group and you could destroy my team completely. Because Ember Spirit, sure, Flame Guard does a decent amount of does decent work, but it's not enough. And as Faf pointed out in chat, around level 5 against 2 Ion Shells, his Flame Guard doesn't do a whole lot, and it kind of just goes away to those Ion Shells because they're magic damage. So anyway, I feel like if you just kind of run at me to start, like once your Warlock gets that level 6, and like you mentioned, you put the Ion Shell on the Warlock and on the Golem, and you have the heals from the Warlock, the heals from the IO, and the Rum from the Kunka, and the amount of damage that you have coming from the CK, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I definitely think you win if you just kind of run at me for the first around 20 to 25 minutes. My team's just like, oh, okay.
To your credit, though, you do win lanes pretty well. And, like, mid is the only one I feel confident about, and I know you probably feel the opposite. You feel pretty confident about mid as well. But I feel very confident about mid. I don't feel confident about my safe lane, which is never a good, strong situation to be in. And I don't feel confident about my off lane. And in this meta, more than ever, it's been a lot about dominating your lane because people do so much more nowadays with it. We've grown better as a community to get more stuff done. And having that great start, we don't throw as often, right? As a community, we do throw games, like that's common in Dota, but I still
Unless
don't
your
think
name
it's...
is Kairai, then you throw all the time.
That's true. That's true. There's still those guys who love to throw, but it's more of the idea that I don't feel like people take as many risks as they once did. There's a lot of value of the in lane presence and then taking risks. Maybe mid game to do certain things, but the early game risks have been so easily punishable in the past that people don't really tend to do that stuff anymore. It's more about dominating the lane and existing within those boundaries that you have.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I feel like my safe lane definitely does pretty well versus Dark Seer. And another thing that we could do Faf mentioned in chat is he said in his opinion he feels like the best thing for Ember to do would be to max chains and just kill a Darkseer repeatedly with one support or definitely two supports, but one would only be needed, to be honest. So like I mentioned earlier, he couldn't really come up into the lane very often. And then the off lane, I don't know. Like Timbersaw, I feel like would do pretty well versus the CK, and the IO can't really do much to punish him out. I'm just, and I guess you're not hitting all terribly hard with CK and Kunka. I'm just imagining X with Torrent with CK stun. Like
it's a lot of lockdown.
It is a lot of lockdown, but Timber could Timber chain out at some point and maybe get lucky that it's only a 1 or 2 second stun from the CK and still escape or something. So I feel like that lane, I don't know. That lane is definitely, it's winnable by either side, in my opinion. It just depends on how you play it. And if you're able to get, like I mentioned, if you're able to get your pulls off correctly and keep the equilibrium correct, I don't know. And then no, I think you do well mid. I think you do pretty well versus Puck. Like you mentioned, Puck's not able to phase shift through all that dot that's coming through the Warlock. And if you have the mana regen to continuously put that on me or to heal yourself, yeah, it's a pain to deal with. So I'm not confident with mid, but as long as he can get out of there with a decent amount of farm, then sure, I think that's a win. Not necessarily he won the lane, but it's a win for me if Puck can escape that lane with a reasonable amount of farm, and maybe because we're sending heroes that way to gank the Warlock. Now, one thing that I just realized is if I do gank the Warlock and say you have to rotate your IO or your Kunka or both, you're leaving your CK pretty open for damage from that Timbersaw.
It's true. It's true.
So, I mean, that could definitely be an issue.
That's true. There is a lot to lose at that point. Though, if you're looking at what's happening here, and you're seeing that I don't really need the rotation mid unless you rotate yourself, and then my Darkseer's getting farm. It's kind of like if I lose out on my safe lane, you're gonna lose out on your safe lane, and I still feel confident about my mid, and that's why I like my draft, and that's why I drafted what I did, because I want to focus on mid winning or a certain lane just winning. Absolute. That's always what I do. Laning is like key for me in my strategies. So I guarantee one lane wins always, and then from there, hopefully I can manipulate your team into doing something else, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. Could be plays said to both sides, and there's tipping points on every map, on every team ever created. You are right though. If I pull both of my supports away from my CK, he just needs to go to jungle. Like he can't exist versus a Timbersaw, even if like he's like a couple levels above him. I still think Timbersaw still has a chance of killing him, because Whirling Death is just so good versus CK.
Yeah. I agree. You want to hear my original draft that I had written down?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So I originally, just thinking about a draft that I thought, that's a draft that we would run, and I think we would do pretty well with it, was Vengeful, Ogre. Those were right. Luna, Dragon Knight, and then Puck offlane. That's what I originally had.
Okay.
So I don't know how that fares against your team that you have right now. But anyway, that's what I originally had, and then I don't like Luna versus, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like Luna versus the DK, or not the DK, the CK at all.
Yeah, makes sense.
I feel like she can deal with illusions, but tanky illusions like CK illusions, who's jumping on you, stunning you, and reality rifting you.
It's a reality rift. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Adding all that damage to someone like a Luna is crazy.
Yeah. Like, and you can have a Hurricane Pike and be as far back as you want to, but if that dude gets on you with Reality Rift, yeah, Luna probably dies.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that was my original draft, and I actually I was like, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good draft, and then your picks threw me off, and then the DK, the random ban. I still wasn't going to pick it, but I found it funny. Like I was still considering it. Like, DK, maybe it's on my list. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe. Oh, okay, never mind. Oh, and you randomed it. That's awesome.
Well, it's actually, to be honest, one of the best ways to stop a Warlock in a core position is to have a DK. Because you can't out-harass a DK. It's just, it's not going to happen. He's going to have farm, and he's going to exist in lane. Unless you have Timbersaw mid versus him with, like, Venge and another, like, Shadow Shaman. It's like, that's the only way it's going to happen. If you have Supreme lockdown and you have like the way to kill him, that's the only way. And I don't have that, so honestly, it was a crazy good random for me. Luckily, the actually Joe Schmo just wrote into the comments about Winter Wyvern being really good versus CK, and that's actually why I was going to use him as a support in the beginning. But once I saw Kimbrell's, once I saw Kimbrell kind of going into an Ogre, I didn't want to I didn't want to use him as a support then, because I knew that he didn't have that potential to go and hurt me that badly. So, yeah, Winter Wyvern's crazy good versus CK.
Absolutely. Does the Golem, is it get taunted by the Winter Wyvern ult? That's interesting.
It does.
Yeah, it would be pretty good. Winter Wyvern, if you replace it with the Ogre, it'd still be pretty good, because Winter Wyvern still provides that harass and lane that an Ogre does. It's just not as tanky, but she can heal. So Winter Wyvern would definitely be a good pick instead of the Ogre Magi.
Honestly, I probably would have picked completely different then, though. Just to be honest, like that's like if you're picking up that, then I would go like way more magic damage at that point.
I mean, that's the beauty of Dota drafting, is it all changes. One single pick can completely change an entire draft, and so
yeah, exactly, and it's the back and forth that really matters. So getting onto items at this point, because we've kind of been talking for a while. What items would you see for your teammates or for your draft in general?
So Vengeful, I'd probably go Aether Lens or Force Staff and maybe a Glimmer. I feel like all three of those items are pretty good. I don't know what kind of boots I would go. I feel like Arcanes are always good on her because she lacks mana, and having that mana regen on your team is good, but you're also going to have 3 heroes until that Timbersaw gets his Bloodstone that's going to have Arcanes, and then he still might have Arcanes after that too.
Real quick though, do you value Aether Lens on her? Because that could be a reason to pick it up as well.
Yeah, I would probably go Arcanes, Aether, and then get the Force or Glimmer, I think.
Okay.
I feel like Aether's pretty good on her. And then the Ogre, I don't know. It's kind of similar, honestly. I feel like Aether Lens is pretty good on him, but he does have a distance skill, I'm pretty sure, like a spell.
He does.
Distance skill. So I don't think Aether's all that important. You get a Force Staff. I'd probably do Force Staff and then like Lotus or something like that to help with the CK stun.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I would probably go Arcanes, Force Lotus, or Arcanes Lotus Force. I'm not sure which one. I'd probably the Force Lotus. That way you have some mobility as well. Let's see. I didn't actually write down items, so now I got to think.
Would you go Earn on him?
Yeah, I would probably need a little bit of mana regen, and I would need some regen in general. I feel like Earn would be pretty good on him. So, yeah, I would say Earn. Yeah, Arcanes, Earn, and then Lotus or Force. But I definitely do want that Lotus at some point because I'm not sure if I get it on my Timber Saw or not. I think it might be good, but I think there's other items for him to get. Puck, I feel like it's a pretty general build. You would want to go use this one. Not you wouldn't want to be as aggressive with like the early Blink Veil Dagon type stuff that I've ran into recently. Anyway, I feel like Yules might actually need to be picked up first, maybe second after Blink. And then after that, you can do an Ags build, or you can do I'm not sure if you want Veil on him or on her on Puck. You might want it on the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, I was thinking you'd probably put it on Ember Spirit, honestly.
Yeah, I really think so, because Ember Spirit benefits from that mana regen and the armor. And plus, anytime, like, I feel like he's probably going to be in a team fight if it does happen, like, say, in the safe lane or something like that. Puck's going to rotate or something. I don't know. I think it would be better in the Ember Spirit. So, Puck, so I would probably go Yule's Blink. And then after that, honestly, I'm not sure. You can go Dagon if you want to, and you can completely delete a CK illusion, but that's only one illusion, so I don't think it does much. But you could do a Shiva's. I think Shiva's would be decent. And I think Ags would be decent because I think probably not. Actually, no. You only have one BKB hero that you might have. You might pick up a BKB on CK. So I'm not sure, honestly, after the Yule's Blink on Puck. I'm probably forgetting something. Timbersaw, I think you want a Yule's. I don't typically build a Yule's on him, but one, having that extra catch is good, and two, getting rid of the last thing I want to do is be trying to like escape a fight, and you picked off two heroes, but you got X marked, and you know you're gonna die. I would hate to get out with Timber Chain and then get drawn right back in and just die because of the X. So I think a Yule's would be good to help purge that. So Arcane's, eventually Bloodstone, a Yule's, and then after that, maybe another Lotus on him. I'm not sure, or I don't think Blade Mail would do too good, to be honest, not versus team. You might consider an Ags, actually. I feel like an Ags would do pretty solid against the CK and pretty good against the Golems as well. Well, it affects the Golems, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Well,
so
if you're talking about
the Timber's ults.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I thought. Okay.
The thing is I can get magic immune like when I hit level 25 though.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and then the Ember Spirit, yeah, I would go the Veil. I would do the Veil Maelstrom build on him. I think they're super good. You might get a Lincoln's. Honestly, you might get a Lincoln's on the Puck too. Well, I feel like Lincoln's is a little defensive though, because you have that Yule's and you have not Reality Rift. You have Phase Shift. Reality Rift is on your team. But you might consider a Lincoln's on the Ember Spirit. But I would definitely go Veil Maelstrom. Lincoln's potentially, and then just continue on with that typical Veil build that we see. Or if you feel like you need physical damage after that, you can continue on with like the. I've seen people get like the Veil, have the Veil early, do the damage that they need to do, and then go that Battle Fury crit build after that. I've seen that, I've seen it a lot from Kairai. He does that quite often, actually. But anyway, those are my items. I feel like they'd be. It's kind of, you can just kind of figure it out throughout the game. And honestly, like, it just depends on how the game's going and how your heroes are doing. But those are probably the general items I would get versus your team.
Okay, I think that the melee build was a fine thing. I don't know if it's really doable anymore. I think that maybe going into, instead of going like the Battle Fury build, going into Maelstrom could be really strong, just because it is some right click, and it still gives you that magic presence. I just like that a lot. I don't think you have the health to deal with the physical damage that I can unleash, So I think you're right. You don't want to go like complete magical and try to do like reflection of using what was it? Blade mail. Blade mail would not be the way to play this game for sure. But it does make sense. You want to keep your physical lineup working, and that's really the only guy that can benefit from a physical attribute, as well as also having as well as having the ogre available. Ogre helps your attack speed, gives you a lot of ways to help you farm. So getting the availability of having a Rundax, or man, I always call it Rundax because I'm from Han, but Battle Fury. Getting the Battle Fury is very important to help yourself farm and get your get where you want to be, because you're gonna have to clear a lot of his illusions. So it makes sense. The amount of magic damage though should be able to take care of my illusions, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be able to have as much as I want. So honestly, looking at CK, I'm gonna have to go classic CK whenever you pick him early, and that means you gotta get those treads up, you gotta get that armlet up, and then you gotta go for that BKB into heart. That's like the way to play him right now. Usually people skip BKB because they don't have the lineups to worry about having to pick up BKB, but this game is no exception. Like, that is so much magic damage. I gotta keep myself alive. BKB must be on that list. You can kind of go out from there, but those are like the four core items. And I would probably go. I was thinking I would probably go AC at that point later on. I know it doesn't really help me out with the magic, but all my other stuff would with heart and BKB and armlet. So that should be good.
Yeah,
Um,
AC would be good versus the Timber and the Ember Spirit as well. So I
yeah,
think it's a good pick.
yeah, especially if you're going for that physical damage. But I wouldn't know that at the time. The Wisp would definitely be going for Earn, and I would actually have the Wisp as the 4. So hopefully get a bottle on her, and or it. It's got to be androgynous. It's a big ball, so it's a companion cube. It's got to be androgynous. Um, the so you're gonna be wanting bottle, Earn, mana boots, classic Wisp style of play. Just keep your guys up, keep you the mana out. Especially with the Warlock, you need to have the mana availability as a core, so he can do things. The Dark Seer is going to be up next for what we were going to be talking about, and actually for him, I would probably go pipe immediately on him. Like, go for my mana boots, maybe stay in lane, or go for maybe even skip over mana boots. But I would definitely get mana boots or a soul ring, and then just go straight pipe, because that is so much magic damage. I need to survive through it. That's the whole purpose, and it's a really easy build up item, so I can kind of work on that on the side, even if he's not getting the most farm. From there, you probably want to kind of revert into going into your mana boots, and I actually don't know if I would even pick up mech this game. If I would, I'd pick it up on the IO if I needed it, but it really isn't necessary versus Kimbrell at this point, because he doesn't have a lot of physical, and it's better to have that pipe than it is to have that mech, and maybe go for something more unique that I can kind of move around the map. If I need more lockdown, I can grab a Rod of Atos, kind of help the Timber Saw stay locked down. Actually, Rod works versus Kimbrell's whole team, and that's actually kind of something that I was going to say, is that you can even do that on every single one of my heroes this game. Building an Atos will stop Puck, it'll stop Timber Saw, and it'll stop Ember Spirit. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. Um, Now, going over to Warlock, and Warlock has to be played a particular way. So the other guys, you're going to have the same skill build that you pretty much have every game. Warlock, you have to go into your heal and your harassment tool going into bonds. You have to get bonds and Shadow Ward, just like you would as a support. But you actually don't use bonds in lane. You just use your ward, your word to hurt the enemy or heal yourself if they're diving you and trying to get a gank on you. It's very, very important, and only when you are about to team fight with your ultimate do you use your bonds. And you actually want to level your word higher than you do your bonds at the same time. So, a lot of availability there. Also, going into your items, you want to start off with a Null Talisman. Null Talisman is incredibly important on the hero. It gives you the availability to just stay in lane. It gives you the presence, the right click ability. Also, I would actually get tangos in this matchup just to guarantee that I can out harass. It's generally the tool that I want. If I'm going versus a melee, I'll just go straight damage and get the bonus tangos from my supports. But I want my supports to have a good lane in this situation, and I feel comfortable versus this person. So that's when you pull back and you actually grab the tangos for yourself. The next item that you want to go for actually is Veil, and it sounds weird, but it's just there to kind of give you. Well, you get your boots first. You go boots. You go your. Okay, so you have you have your Null Talisman. You want to go ignoring Veil. You want to go your Phase Boots. It gives you a lot of right click damage, a lot of potential to push people out of lane, good survivability, and then you want to actually go for your Midas. Midas is incredibly important. You have to get your levels up on the hero, otherwise he does not work. So you get Midas. After that, you then go into Veil. Then you go into your Aghanim Scepter and Refresher. Classic Warlock. Just playing more as an aggressive core type lineup. And then Kunka, he's your ward bitch. He grabs those wards and he gobbles them all up and places them all over the place. Hopefully he can get an Aether Lens as time goes on. Maybe a Force Staff instead of Aether. If he can get Mana Boots, that's great. If he can't, whatever. And that's kind of what you're going to be looking at for him. He's going to be the jack of all trades and kind of helping people out. Maybe even get a Glimmer. Glimmer can be really great on him. Yeah. But he's just there to X and torrent people and boat. That's it. So, yeah. All right. Anything else you want to say about my draft or your draft here real quick, Kimbrell?
I don't think so. No, I really don't. I feel like it's. I don't know. I'm trying to decide who wins. I feel like I said earlier, I feel like you win as long as you're.
It's all about the laning stage.
Yeah, sure. If you win mid, and your Warlock's able to do what he needs to do, it should open up enough for the CK. And if the ganks don't go well versus the Warlock mid. So, I don't know. I feel like it's another one of those drafts that's it's decently close, but I think you might have the edge. It just kind of depends on play. So, that's all I got.
All right, cool. All right, well, the most important part of our show, right? You got to rate our beers. So, Kimbrell, what are you going to rate your beer? Your 2 beers this week. You got 2 of them.
Yes, I have 2 of them. I'm going to go with the Shinner one first. It's pretty good. I know my wife will definitely like it. It's a strawberry blonde summer edition, and it's actually one of those that's like very easy to drink. I don't feel like I don't know. It's pretty good. I would give it a 4, I think. And there's a little bit of a bias there, probably. It's a Shiner, so I mean, I'm gonna always have a bias towards him. I don't think I could drink a full 6-pack of it, but it's like I said, it's pretty good. So, and then the purple haze was actually really good. I really enjoyed it. I'm probably gonna finish that one tonight. I don't know. I'm trying to debate. Do I want to finish that tonight, or do I want to just say, "Hey, look, I have 2 beers for you. Let me play Dota." But I would give the purple haze probably a 4 as well, 4 or 4.5. It's pretty good though. They're
Wow.
both really solid. Yeah, I really enjoyed both of them. I don't feel like I hate myself after drinking them, and they both tasted really well. So yeah.
Yeah, whenever I drink like for the strawberry blonde one, in my opinion, whenever I drink one of those fruit infused beers, it's kind of hard to drink multiples of them in general, just because it's generally a sweeter beer. So
Mhm.
for me, it's like I'm cool with having one or two, but it just makes me feel bad later whenever I drink
Yeah.
them. I like know it as I'm drinking it. So, um, but they're still generally tasty though. So. That's cool. That's cool. The Oberon is not as cool as I expected it to be. I was so hyped.
Oh no.
I know, right? I was like, this is the guy I played in Warframe. It's gonna be so cool. I'm drinking like the beer that's like made for my character. It's okay. I mean, it's 3.5 worthy, but I mean, it's a classic wheat beer. You can't really go wrong with wheat beer in my opinion. And there's not it's just not like the superstar that I wanted it to be. So I gotta give it a 3.5 on this week's draft. Sadly.
Kind of sad for you.
I know, right? I'm like, I was so excited for this, and I was like, oh, it tastes pretty good at first, and then I get down to the bottom of the beer, and I'm like, you know, this is just like, especially when it like starts coming down off of being chilled, because you have like multiple beers like right next to me. I don't have it in a fridge or something right next to me, so it doesn't taste. It's probably just like the warm beer type feeling, but at the same time, I can't give it a 5 if it doesn't taste good warm. So
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's the. I don't know. Warm beer doesn't bother me as much unless it's like cheap. And we're talking like a Coors Light or something, and it's warm. That's gross. But like the two that I have right now, like if they're warm, I'm not gonna complain too much. Like it's not that bad.
oh man,
Uh,
I know you have those weird laws in Oklahoma, but I mean,
yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, I brought these home and I stuck them straight in my freezer. I was like, we'll be good to go. But they've definitely warmed up as we're sitting here, obviously. So, but yeah, they're so good. So
nice, nice. All right, guys. Well, all good things must come to an end, and we have to close out the show now, sadly. So, if you want to, you can help us out greatly by subscribing or liking any of our videos. You can go to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ZombiePandaStudios for any of our videos and any of our streaming. You can go to our YouTube channel at Zombie Panda Studios, once again. If you're feeling extra generous and want to give to our Patreon, if you're interested in having Kimbrell play weird, wacky games from the past, or if you're having an urge to learn from Flubb on Dota, you can talk to me and buy different availability slots for me at www.patreon.com/ZombiePandaStudios. If you want to, you can follow me at my Twitter at FlubbDota. You can follow Kimbrell at his Twitter at skimbrell_, or you can follow the both of us at ZPandaStudios. If you want to, we are still working on the actual podcast side of things instead of the VODs, and I'm trying to get that up. I'm sorry, I'm just really dumb with this, but you can hopefully listen to them this week on Stitcher, iTunes, or SoundCloud. We want to give a special thanks to our Patreons that have given this month, and they are Tim Kaninsky, Ryan Ebel, Justin McGuire, and it's Ryan.
Uh-oh.
Ah, man, I forgot to put the last guy in. Hopefully Kimbrell can find it here real quick for us.
Ryan Kruger.
Ryan Kruger. I'm sorry, Ryan Kruger. I messed up this week and I didn't actually put you into the list, but you will be there next week. I guarantee it. So thank you, Ryan Kruger, for your patronage. All right, guys. Well, it was great to share a beer with you this week, and we will catch you Sunday for a brand new episode of Flubb Date, or next week for another episode of Brewmaster's Draft. All right, guys. We'll catch you later.
See you, everyone.